In the year 2021, the first film called Dune was released on the famous novels written by Frank Herbert, which was successful. And this year, the second part of the same film, the Dune Part 2, was released. By the way, the story of the Dune is certainly fictional, but this human history shows the important things like his character, culture, political, religion, and power very well. The story is thousands of years old today. Where humans have advanced many times from the Earth, there are different planets in the universe. Countless wars have also taken place in these thousands of years. Human beings have now developed a lot in the matter of intelligence. Science and technology have also gone far ahead in the world. But no matter how much a person makes progress, he can never end his greed. They always want to rule. Similarly, the story of the Dune rules over the powerful and the weak. Of the 𝐂𝐸𝐻 dynasty, Shaddam IV was the ruler of this universe, the most powerful family, and after them, the great houses were such powerful and wealthy families that ruled over different planets according to them. The story of the Dune is very big and detailed, although it has already been made into a film. But recently these films have shown these stories with a lot of beauty, like the entire history of the Arrakis planet. How many wars took place in these 10,000 years? Why is there no artificial intelligence in the story of Dune? Who is the Bene Gesserit? And how did these people get these powers? How did these great generations begin? And many more things that will bring this story to light even more. In the first part of this story, the house of Atreides was sent to Arrakis. The Arrakis planet is the most important planet in this story. There is a spice called melange, a substance that is used in interstellar space travel. In simple words, it is a special substance that works like fuel in space. The problem is that this melange spice is only found on the Arrakis planet. The people living in Arrakis are called Fremen, who do not like outsiders at all. And Arrakis also has the largest sheep, who are called royal holots in their language. But in fact, they are huge insects that live in the sand. The story of the film begins with the voice of Samrat's daughter Erolan. She says that this is the year 10,191. The Battle of Arrakis brought everyone together. Harkonnen attacked Atreides without warning and without a fight. He killed everyone. After that night, my father was no longer like before, nor was I. His silence is beyond my tolerance. He considered Duke Atreides as his son, but my father has lost his power. And this is not the first time that Harkonnen has done countless work for my father. There are many secrets hidden in the darkness of Arrakis, but the most terrible of them is the end of Atreides dynasty. And here we know that the king himself was behind the destruction of Atreides. Harkonnen just did that. The king was afraid that Atreides would not become so powerful that he would take my throne. Everyone thought that Atreides' dynasty was over. But with the help of Duncan, Lady Jessica and her son Paul Atreides escaped from that attack and was saved by Freeman. Freeman had a prophecy that one day from another world, their Messiah will come. He will make Arrakis a green heaven. And he will send back all the people who had come from the outside world to Arrakis. This prophecy has been heard among them for many centuries. But that Messiah has not come yet. Now there was an attack on the treaties and Paul was saved. Some of the Fremen believed that maybe that Messiah, Lisan al-Gaebi, was coming. The most trusted was a Fremen named Stilgar, who was also the leader of some warriors. Jessica and Paul had been living with these Fremen for a long time. Paul also had some powers, the power to see the future. So he had already guessed that one day he would fight for the people of Arrakis and kill them. Lady Jessica was actually from the Beneath Desert. Some people also considered them magicians. They had some special powers and Jessica had taught all of them to Paul. Now we see that Paul and Jessica are with Freeman. Harkonnen has taken control of Arrakis, but he sends his soldiers to the north again and again so that the rebels can kill Freeman. Because these Freemans always attack their big machines. The machines that gathered the spice. A scene of an attack when Harkonnen's men arrived to assassinate Freeman nearby is presented to us. Paul and Jessica were present, as was Stilgar and his warriors. Because the Fremens are the quickest in the Arrakis desert, the attack fails. Paul murders a soldier who assaults him. Jessica also noticed Paul before another soldier who was about to shoot him from a distance. So she uses a stone to crush the soldier's head. Lady Jessica is also expecting these days. They are aware that it is a boy or a girl already. Jessica knew she was a girl because of this. Paul was constantly concerned for his sister because of this. Ephraim uses a little gadget to remove the water from his body after murdering Hargan and the troops. Although Stilgar claims that the water in their bodies is extremely toxic, it unquestionably functions in the cooling mechanism. As you are aware, Arrakis is a scorching planet with severe water scarcity if you have read the first chapter of this tale. For this reason, these folks don a unique garment that allows them to reuse the water and pee that was previously filtered out of their bodies. So they continue in the same manner even after eliminating the adversary. They completely dehydrate themselves. Water on Arrakis is the most expensive. After taking out the water from the corpses, they put it in the Rajasthan there, and call the king of Hulud, that is, that huge worm who swallows the corpses of the Harkonnen. Now the northern capital of Arrakis is shown in Arakin, where Harkonnen Raban, that is, the nephew of Beren, was angry because the birth of a spice named Melange was stopping. Freemans were being attacked again and again in the south. And when one of his men advised the army to call back, Raban started to kill him. He did not want to prove himself weak. On the other hand, we see that Stilgar and the other Freemans bring Jessica and Paul to their secret city. This stone was carved and made. There were many Freemans here who were objecting to the arrival of Paul and Jessica. Yes, there were some who thought Paul was the Messiah. The elders here asked Stilgar, "Why do you think he is the Messiah?" Stilgar replies that, "I have received a sign." They also make fun of Stilgar. After that, his companion who had died fighting Paul has his last rites. A lake is poured from his body by removing the water. These folks seem to have made a great deal of sacrifices. Stilgar tells Jessica that there's a lot of water here. "We will never drink this lake's water since it is sacred, yet we shall die of thirst." The prophecy states that Jabarakas will become green once more. Then these rivers and lakes will run here. You will also be able to comprehend what I am saying since you are a native of the desert. The prophecy states Lisan Al-Gaib's mother will be a well-respected educator. You will also need to step in for our instructor as she is dying. Jessica says, "What if I refuse?" after hearing this. Stilgar then asserts that there is no purpose to your existence. We'll also pour your bodily fluids into this pond. Lady Jessica was now forced to decide between her future as a teacher and death. She could not possibly choose to die. But having to swallow the king of Hulud's blood made being a teacher difficult. It is toxic and blue. She will either pass away or have a new birth. Thus, this ceremony is also performed the next day. After drinking the blood, those women find out that Jessica is pregnant. But by then it was too late. Jessica tolerates the poison. Although some people, like Chani, had no faith in the religious things here. She gets angry at Stilgar that you are superstitious and you will kill these people. But Jessica goes through that pain and comes to her senses. Paul asks her how is 𝐂𝐸, that is her sister. Jessica tells her that she was scared for some time but now she is fine. She talks to me and after drinking that poison my eyes opened. Now I know the truth, you should also drink that, Paul, you will understand everything. But until today, no man has been alive after drinking poison. Only women are saved. Paul was feeling a change in his mother. Paul wanted to learn more ways as a freeman. And he was also being considered a messiah. So he was often given a job on challenges so that he could understand Rajasthan. As the people here understand, if you want to go to Rajasthan, you will have to walk on a special rope, so that those huge insects do not come out. The love between Chani and Paul started to grow, so she taught Paul a lot. Jessica mostly talked to her unborn daughter, who tells her that if we want to be alive, we have to convince everyone that Paul is the Messiah, and those who do not believe in this prophecy will start from them. A few months later, when the machines to collect spies were sent to this area, the Freemans, including Paul, attacked and destroyed those machines. This attack was quite successful. They celebrate the night, and that night Stilgar also gives Paul a war name. And he asks Paul that you will also have to keep your own secret name. So he chooses 𝐂𝐸𝐸. In fact, 𝐂𝐸𝐸 is a mouse found on Arrakis who makes his own water in his own way. So now Paul became famous in Arrakis in the name of 𝐂𝐸𝐸. Those huge insects, as the Arrakis kings of Hulud called them, were very dangerous for outsiders, but not for women. He knew how to control them. In fact, he also rode them quite easily. There are special places in the body of these birds that are controlled by them. In fact, this was also the ride of Nafriman. One day, Stilgar was riding that royal horse. Paul was observing him from afar. Then Chani approaches him and takes a seat. Paul begs to learn how to ride them from Stilgar. She responds with a joke that might not be true. Paul informs her that his planet has a massive ocean. Having never seen the sea, Chani was astonished by the sight. Since Arrakis never experiences rain, she had never really seen any. Paul claims that I will likewise be a free man from now on. According to Chani, you were born king and among the ancestors only by name, not by blood. On Arrakis, nevertheless, we are one here. Man and woman are one in whatever we do for the benefit of everyone. Paul continues, I want to be one with you. So Chani says that maybe you can be a freeman, Paul. I can help. Love was growing in the midst of the noise. In the coming days, Paul and Freeman were destroyed by many harvester machines. There, Baron was going crazy with anger, because the birth of spies was not yet complete. He gives a final warning to Raban that if the birth of spies is not complete, then the king's grip on us will be strengthened. You were given all the orders. Paul again had a dream in which he saw the deaths of millions of people who were dying of hunger. His dreams come true. That's why he was afraid that all this might not come true because of him. He had not told his mother about this dream yet. Now she spent most of the time in a temple, because she had become the teacher of freemen. Some ancient words had also been written on his face. That day also comes when Stilgar Paul teaches him to ride the royal horse. Before calling that worm, Stilgar Paul says to Paul that there is no need to show too much. Keep your balance. Even if you can't ride it, even then you will remain that Messiah. You have proven a lot. That day Paul rides the biggest caravan that no one has ever been able to do. No freeman either. Well, he had some difficulties, but he was successful in it. This thing all the freemen came to know. So he also started believing a sign. Jessica was the most happy, because she wanted to spread this on the whole of Arrakis, that Paul is that Messiah. By the way, everyone knew him by the name of Modib. In the answer, everyone started believing Paul to be the Messiah. On Lady Jessica, who talks to her unborn child, she says that our work in the north is done. Now we will go to the south because there is a cutter there. We have to convince them that Paul is the Lysanel. Paul did not like this behavior of his mother. She was spreading false stories and misleading people. Because it is possible that Paul is not the Messiah and whatever has happened so far can also be a coincidence. Some freemen go south for Lady Jessica, but Paul does not go because according to his dream, if he goes, then lakhs of people will be killed there. A few days later, with the freemen's attacks continuing unabated, and the Messiah like Modib having stuck a thorn in Harpoon's nose, Raban, filled with rage, leads some of his warriors to attack a mountain. However, Paul and Stilgar had previously given their lives there, where they were really trapped. Fortunately, Raban was a coward and always managed to get out of there. By now, word of this Messiah had spread to every planet, even to the king's castle. Princess Erwin talks to her father about this, that if we want to keep our hold on Arrakis, then religion should not be suppressed, nor should we kill this Messiah, because it makes him immortal. While talking to the chief of the Bene Gesserit, Helen, we learn that in fact these religious prophecies are the work of the Bene Gesserit. They give false hope to people so that they remain in their control. Actually, they are trying to keep the balance of this empire. But now all that is happening is true. Helen is starting to doubt that if Paul is alive then, Helen has silenced him. Don't talk about this to anyone. If the great ancestors found out that Atreides is their hand behind killing him, then your father Singhassan will lose. We have a plan. Paul Atreides is not our last hope. Baron's younger nephew Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen will be the heir to Arrakis. Maybe that last moment will happen. As soon as she hears this, Erolaine asks, is Feyd-Rautha that mad woman? On which Helen's answer is that it makes no difference. It just means whether we can control her or not. Knowing all this, it seems that the Bene Gesserit is controlling the empire. And the rest are their pawns. Now we are shown Feyd-Rautha, Raban Harkonnen's younger brother, who was a monstrous villain and a man-eater. Today, on the occasion of his birthday, he was left alone to die, in which they were the remaining Atreides who were captured. 2 of them were poisoned so that they would lose quickly. But that doctor was not poisoned. He was the doctor of the Duke family and he was the one who helped in the attack. During the fight, Feyd-Rautha easily killed those 2 Atreides. But the third one hit him. Baron also knew that he could die in this. But he does not stop the fight. Bene Gesserit had also come to see this fight. Feyd-Rautha's eyes were on him. Feyd-Rautha also takes off his armor and wins the fight. Later he meets his uncle, that is the Baron, who was talking about giving him Arrakis, that your brother was a failure. He will be removed from the throne. The king also had a hand in eliminating Atreides, and when the great ancestors find out about this, the king will be removed and then you will sit on the throne. Following the festivities that evening, a woman at Bene Gesserit ensnares Feyd-Rautha in her life, leading to a close relationship between the two, since one of the Harkonnens was required by the Bene Gesserit. The sisterhood of the Bene Gesserit is likewise executed rather nicely. It is depicted there that the individuals who assembled the spies took their harvesters to a location a few days later. They were not Harkonnens, they were ordinary people. That's why they were attacked. But in fact, these people were called Gurney. He was also saved in that attack. And now he was gathering the spies illegally alone. Paul was very happy to meet him. Knowing this, Ghani is also surprised that Paul is actually the leader, that Messiah. Paul also wanted to take revenge, and Ghani too. Ghani had a way. Every universe has a secret godown of celestial bombs. And Atreides had a godown here on Arrakis. In the mountains, in such an open place where no one would pay attention to it. They had so many weapons that they were enough to destroy the entire planet. and they just had to fight Harkonnen. And after getting the weapon, it seemed impossible to defeat them now. Jessica was leading the story of Liz and 𝐂𝐲𝐲𝐽 in the south. The children of these big insects were kept in a temple there. In fact, this blood is not found there. Jessica says to the keeper there that when my son comes here, give him this blood too. Although no man can drink this blood, he dies. But Jessica believed. As soon as Feyd-Rautha steps on Arrakis, he attacks the remains of the Freemen, and many Freemen die in this merciless attack. Hidden in the north, in which Paul was also included, they were forced to go to the south. By riding those big insects, they crossed the dangerous storms and reached their destination in the south, where, as Jessica said, there was a woman in that temple who gave Paul that poison. As soon as he did this, he was not in his senses, he was afraid that he would die. Chani was very angry at this action of Jessica, but by shedding her tears, Paul was revived and everyone saw this miracle. If the people of the south were not yet believing in the Messiah, now they started believing. Now that all the Freemen have united, that's why Paul announces a war on Atreides. Either the people of Arrakis will be completely destroyed or they will take back their planet. Paul comes in front of everyone, gives a speech to those who did not believe him. He tells them his deep secrets, so everyone bowed down in front of him. The lakhs of Fremen were now ready for war. They send a message to the king. When they found out that Paul Atreides was alive, they were very angry, especially at Harkonnen. Paul challenged the king himself. He arrived in Arrakis the following day. And when Baron and his friends were shown to the monarch, he disappointed him, especially when he sent Paul a serious challenge. Baron claims that the south is unpopulated, yet the machines did not assist him in walking. He is interrupted by a king's soldier. Paul followed the same plan as Garnier and the other Freemen. Despite the fact that the Hazanu army accompanied the monarch, Paul gives the command to throw a few bombs out from the fort, which was blown up in their army. And then all the Freemen attack in Paul's absence. This was a dramatic attack. In a little while, Paul and his people take the fort's weapons. The king takes his daughter and all the victims as prisoners. First of all, Paul takes revenge on his father Duke by killing Baron there. And when Rabban, while trying to escape, Gurney stops him and immediately kills him. Before this attack, Baron had sent a message to the great ancestors that their future is in danger and a war has started on Arrakis. Paul and his people take over Arrakis, but now they have to face a bigger army. Paul orders them to send a message that if they attack, we will blow up this planet with atomic bombs. The king is angry that you can't do anything, he is coming to kill you. Paul is angry that who knows, he has come to listen to me what you did. You killed my family, I accept the hand of your daughter. I will become the king. With this, Paul challenges him to fight. Instead of the king, Feyd fights crying. There was a great fight between the two, but in the end, Paul kills him. Seeing this, all the people there started calling him Lisan al-Gaib. Paul now approaches the king. Although his daughter was prepared for the wedding, he would have killed her. The monarch then gives Paul's ring a kiss. Paul is going to marry Errolyn after hearing this. Angrily, Chani turned to go. Those battleships had approached this planet. They were not listening to Paul. That's why Freeman's army left for a battle with them. They took Harkonnen's ship. This is where the story ends. We hope you liked our explanation. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.